Good morning and welcome back to Wales. We're in Barmouth today on the ferry, ready to get a little trip across the Mawddach Estuary to Fairbourne, where we're going to get the train, have a little look around the beach and the village, and then head back across the viaduct. Just a short walk, but a bit of a nice tourist day out, so let's go and have a look.
We start today by boat, taking the Barmouth ferry 5 minutes across the Mawddach Estuary from the harbour. Today this service is timed to allow passengers to catch the Fairbourne Railway on the other side, but dates back far before tourism came to the area. It was originally run by monks as an outpost of Calma Abbey as the only way of crossing the mouth of this long wide estuary. Following the dissolution of the monasteries, it was later run by fishermen and then the Harbour Trust to transport goods, livestock and mail across.
Fairbourne Railway has run along the 2 miles from the mouth of the Mawddach Estuary to the village of Fairbourne for over 100 years. It began life as a tramway to transport materials for the construction of the village and was converted to a narrow gauge railway in 1916 to begin its life as a popular tourist attraction. It closed in the Second World War but was rescued post-war by John Wilkins. It has changed ownership and been refurbished a number of times since, notably a new station and relaying the track by the Ellerton family in 1986.
Our train today is called Russell. which despite its historic appearance is the same age as Hell's, being built in 1979, but on the base of a 100 engine and rebuilt in 1985. While the railway line sits behind sea defences, views take in the estuary, village and surrounding Estuary hills. Today we're taking a one-way trip to enjoy a walk back along the beach in the sunshine, or you can do a round trip which takes about an hour.
Fairbourne was originally little more than farms and salt marshes on the Mawddach Estuary until the late 19th century, when entrepreneur Arthur McDougall of the Flour Company fame developed it as a holiday resort. It grew into a Victorian seaside escape with its beach, holiday cottages and steam trains. It's still a peaceful coastal getaway but has an uncertain future. With rising sea levels and increasing flood risk, the village has been considered for decommissioning in future. However, this is strongly opposed by local residents. We've been on the ferry, we've been on the train. We're now heading back along Fairbourne Beach, and then we're going to head back across the viaduct for a little walk. So have a little wander along the beach and then head back.
Fairbourne Beach is a beautiful stretch of golden sand backed by a high pebble bank with impressive views across Cardingley Bay and the mountains of Estuary. During the Second World War, it had a very different purpose as part of Britain's coastal defences. You can still spot remains of concrete tank traps and anti-invasion defences along the beach, built to protect against a potential German landing. Today, it's one of Britain's finest remaining examples, sitting among the sand and pebbles. The 2-mile-long beach is perfect for a peaceful walk, with endless views, sea air and Barmouth on the horizon. Behind the beach sits a former farm, now the 9-hole golf club.
Barmouth Bridge is one of the iconic landmarks of Wales. Stretching half a mile across the mouth of the Mawddach, it opened in 1867 on the Cambrian Coast Railway. Built mainly from timber, with wrought iron spans for the shipping channels, it was a Victorian engineering marvel that connected the remote Cambrian coast to the wider world and helped Barmouth flourish as a seaside resort. Today, it's the longest timber viaduct in the UK.
Barmouth Bridge has almost been lost on several occasions. In the late 19th century, it fell victim to metal corrosion from the effects of salt, and again in the 1980s when it was attacked by woodworm. At the start of the 2020s, the bridge underwent refurbishment to preserve it for future generations. This replaced decaying timbers, strengthened the metal spans and restored the historic structure, ensuring that trains, cyclists and walkers can continue to enjoy this spectacular crossing. This treasured gateway to Estuary combines over 150 years of history with a renewed lease of life.
At the other end of the bridge, we arrive back into Barmouth itself, or Abermawr as it's known in Welsh. The walk back to town takes you past the harbour where we started, hinting at the history of boat and shipbuilding and sitting alongside seafront cafes. Beyond this is the sandy beach and leisure facilities that have made the town so popular. On the beach sits Dum Dum, the wooden Moe-style head who first appeared in 2010. Weathered and carried away by storms, he was replaced in 2021 and stands today to welcome beachgoers to Barmouth.